Hello, I'm Ina Sharavinsky and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. And every word matters would actually seem to be the leitmotif here. Iran has vowed revenge for the killing of one of the leaders of the terrorist group Hamas. However, for a number of weeks now, the world has been waiting with bated breath. Still, nothing has happened. The question is, why are the authorities in Tehran doing so? Why are they delaying this furious vengeance that they have promised would be raining down on Israel? Could it be because there might be a chance for a ceasefire? Well, we're going to talk about this and more with our guest today, Professor Dr. Heinz Gärtner from the Department of Political Science at the University of Vienna. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning.
So what would you say is the main reason why Iran has actually delayed its attack on Israel? Is it because of the peace process taking place in the Middle East right now? Or perhaps there are discrepancies between what Iran is prepared to do and what other groups, notably Hamas and Hezbollah, would like Iran to do?
Definitely, Iran is not in a hurry to do so, to retaliate on Israel. And I do think in Iran itself, there is no decision made yet what kind of retaliation it should be. But of course, as you said, the other point is that we have these peace talks going on about ceasefire, and Iran does not want to appear the one who disrupts these peace talks. If it comes to a temporary ceasefire, Iran could it also claim as a victory. But I do not think that Iran will abandon the threat of retaliation right now. It also creates an atmosphere of anxiety in Israel itself. When will Iran retaliate and in what way? So we cannot expect that Iran will give up the threat, but we can expect that it might be delayed for weeks, maybe even months. But the tit for tat will not end there, because if we have an agreement in these peace talks, I'm saying really if, and it's not very likely, it will be very temporary ceasefire for a couple of weeks, and Hamas will not agree anyway. So the tit for tat will go on, and it's a matter of time when Israel also will attack one of the Iranian militias, generals, maybe in Syria, and then Iran might feel to retaliate again. So if there is a bold political decision, so this tit for tat and escalation will not stop now. Of course, the Americans and President Biden and Kamala Harris want to have a ceasefire because they don't want to have a major war in the region before the elections in fall. That's why the one who are really desperate to want some kind of ceasefire are the Americans. And however, they have to take into account the other actors in the regions and their interests.
So in a way, you actually preempted my next question, which was, to what extent is the current situation influenced by the campaign in the US? I mean, Kamala Harris is under pressure from pro-Palestinian activists. They want her to do more at the expense of the alliance with Israel. Do you think that this could indeed be the case, that if Kamala Harris wins in the future, she might not be quite as unequivocal when it comes to supporting Israel, that she would still remain an ally for Israel, but she will also keep an eye on what's going on in the Middle East and draw certain lines that Israel will not be able to cross? For example, regarding the casualties, because this has been the major point of contention here.
Yes, of course, if we have a temporary ceasefire right now, and there might be a limited exchange of hostages and prisoners with some of the captives held by Hamas to some prisoners held by Israel, especially in the West Bank. And that would, of course, Kamala Harris and Joseph Biden claim already as a victory, and also Israel could, and Netanyahu could do so. But I don't think all the captives will released now. But it would, of course, give the Americans and the Kamala Harris and Joseph Biden some room of claiming that they can have a victory and carry it through the elections, but there will be no solution before the elections. A real solution will be only two-state solution in the borders of 67, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is not willing to accept this, at least right now, and that's where Kamala Harris, if she becomes president, has to work on the two-state solution and put pressure on Israel to draw and to end the occupation of the territories beyond the 67 borders. But also Iran has to make a bold decision and recognize Israel in the border of 67. Otherwise, Israel will not stop to attack Iranian facilities. The more states recognize the Palestinian state, the closer we come to a two-state solution. But then Iran might be isolated, because Iran has to accept the two-state solution as well, which means recognition of Israel in the borders of 67. And there will be, of course, a heavy debate within the Iran political establishment about this.
And coming back to Iran, do you think that the authorities in Tehran are in a bind right now? Because if the negotiations break down, they will be called upon to deliver upon their promise, the promise of revenge, the promise of retaliation. Do you think that the dynamic described by the Jerusalem Post recently, i.e. that organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah are pressuring Iran to do something, will actually work out in their favor, i.e. Iran will attack at some point?
Of course, to some extent, Iran locked itself in, alluding that if there is an agreement in the peace talks, it will abandon the retaliation. However, there is some flexibility here, because there will be no final ceasefire with the end of hostilities and the withdrawal of Israeli troops. So it's unlikely that Iran will give up all the threats of retaliation. But somehow the pressure on Iran, you are correct, will increase. And it might be that Hezbollah is very much also independent, and also Hamas from Tehran. And Hezbollah might decide, then let's do something ourselves and go for an attack on Israel with more rockets than before. And Israel might again fail to react and even invade with ground troops in southern Lebanon, what we had before. And then again, Iran might feel to take in and to support Hezbollah as well. And that's already, of course, then that will put pressure on the US as well. And then we have a major war. So the ball is also in Hezbollah's court, that if Hezbollah can start a major attack on Israel, that could also escalate and draw in Iran at some point and the US.
One final question. We have about a minute. Do you think that Iran may try to wriggle itself out by staging an attack which will be basically going through the motions once again, like the previous one? Well, it was a retaliation. There were missiles involved, but it was easy to see how this attack was not really meant to succeed.
Yeah, that's possible. The new president, Iranian president, he is very moderate, and he suggested no attack on Israel, but some attack on Israel's facility in Iraqi Kurdistan or in Azerbaijan, in order to showcase some reaction, but not to escalate. So that's also an Iranian position, but I don't think that's now the majority opinion in the National Security Council in Iran. But it's possible at the end that Iran might to react similar to what you said in the April with the before noticed attack with drones.
So overall, between just showing off and starting a major war, there is still plenty of discretion for Iran, also plenty of space to make the wrong decision. Let's hope, of course, that it will not come to it. For the time being, Professor Dr. Heinz Gärtner was our guest here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.